here's Brody Brazil.
To the surprise of pretty much nobody out there, Juan Soto is about to get paid handsomely before the next time he ever steps foot on a Major League Baseball field. Right, that part was pretty well understood and widely predicted, and the only real questions that we didn't have the answers to, we have them now, were these. Number one, what team, what suitor would have the ultimate opportunity to lock down Soto for a very long-term deal? Number two, how much would this cost that respective team, and how much would Soto earn from this contract? And number three, when would this contract actually be signed? When would it become official? Because you understand, Scott Boras is the agent of Juan Soto, and last year, a lot of Boras clients, they waited until the very last minute during spring training and beyond to actually put pen to paper and make their deals official. They wanted to test the market, but it kind of felt like it went against those players. They had rough starts to the season. Some of them never actually latched on early, and it kind of went against them. But here we are with Soto, just a little bit more than a week past the start of December 2024, right before the official kickoff of winter meetings. And Soto has made his choice. He is a New York Metropolitan. And the deal looks like this, according to ESPN. 15 years, $765 million. More than $750 million for a multi-decade contract. A decade and a half. It's the largest deal in pro sports history. No, not just baseball history, not just North American sports history. It's the largest deal in global pro sports history, according to ESPN. And in just a second, I'll get to the breakdown of $765 million. So you can let that sink in. Like, how much is that worth per season, per game, per at-bat, per hour of every single day? It's mind-numbing. And I also realize some people out there are going to say, well, that's the money pre-tax. Soto won't exactly see all of those dollars. And yes, that is true, but none of this includes all of the endorsement deals that he's already in or is bound to be in while playing for the New York Mets. So, in essence, this is kind of what the financial package looks like for Juan Soto. The other part about this, though, 15 years, $765 million. I understand that's the market value. That's what a team was willing to pay to lock down Juan Soto. Here's the question. Is anybody ever really going to be able to live up to 15 years and $765 million? There's a chance this contract, by the way, you'll find out, can go all the way up closer to $800 million. But the pressure to live up to this, what does the individual have to do? What does the team, what do the New York Mets have to do across 15 years for this contract of Juan Soto to be considered successful? That's a lot of pressure. That's a deep thought right there. This is a very competitive game. There's always going to be other teams, other superstars. Do the Mets have to win 5 World Series at least for this contract to really fully realize its value? There's a lot of pressure right now on Juan Soto. I understand there's no pressure in cashing those checks. That's a nice feeling, but the pressure to live up to some or all of that has to be immense. Here's some more details. According to ESPN, the deal includes an opt-out after 5 years and no deferred money, sources said. It does have escalators that can reach above $800 million. So if he sticks with the team past 5 years, some of the yearly amounts go up. The deal is worth closer to $800 million than $765 million, but no deferred money. The Mets are not doing it how the Dodgers are doing it. The Mets are going to pay this money when it's due and not defer it like they did with Ohtani and some others over the course of a decade. Interesting to see the biggest deal in baseball ever and no deferred money as opposed to what the Dodgers did with Shohei. Here's a breakdown of $765 million. If you're wondering, like, how much does that equate per season? Well, the answer, $51 million per season. And that's for season 1 and 3 and 5 and 9 and 12 and 15. That's the average across all 15. So season 15, where you may not get the productivity as you did in season 3, it's still a $51 million season. If you want to do this daily, like 765 divided by 365 days a year, that's $140,000 daily for Juan Soto. Even the days there's no game, even the days it's the middle of the offseason, even the days he's on a beach working on the tan. $140,000 per day for Juan Soto. If you do it by baseball games, and this is assuming he would play all 162. He played 161 2 years ago. Let's just say he could play all 162 per season, $315,000 every time he put the jersey on if he did it all 162 times. So yeah, if he plays 155, it's worth even more than $315, but $315,000 every single game day across 162 per season. How about per at-bat? Now, Soto the last couple years had 560, I want to say, and 570 plus, so let's just narrow it down to 550 at-bats, not plate appearances, at-bats. $93,000 per at-bat. $93,000 is a good annual salary for a lot of people in a lot of places across the country. 550 at-bats per year, $93,000 per at-bat, with the salary being this. And yes, again, this is gross money. This is not net money. But with endorsements and everything else, you're kind of getting the picture painted for you here. If you want to do it hourly, like every single hour of the day, of every single day, of every single month, of every single 15 years of this contract, $765 million equates to $5,800 hourly. Like when he's sleeping for an hour, $5,800. When he's, I don't know, watching a movie that's 2 hours long, he just made more than 10 grand by watching a movie. Here's one for me, and I'm in the aviation sphere. I kind of know what it costs to like rent and operate a private jet. Like that's usually a $2,000 to $3,000 ordeal, maybe $4,000 to $5,000 ordeal, depending on the type and size of the jet. But that basically means that the Mets are renting out a private jet and flying a private jet every single hour of every single day for 15 straight years to pay Juan Soto. Like that's the cost. $5,800 hourly, not the hours that he's awake, every single hour of every single day across 15 years. Okay, I realize that was a lot of like rubbing it in right there, but I just wanted you to have a sense of what this money means. For baseball, it's also kind of interesting here that the top 5 paid players are only in 2 markets across the country. You've got Soto now with the Mets on the East Coast. You've got Ohtani with the Dodgers on the West Coast. Mike Trout up the road, over across the road in Anaheim. Also in Los Angeles, Mookie Betts is a Dodger and Aaron Judge is a Yankee. So between the Mets and Yankees, Dodgers and Angels, you've got the top 5 money players in your 2 biggest markets across the 4 different teams. Now, to no surprise, right? This is the way the world works, I suppose, and these are expensive markets and they have the superstar players. Is this good for baseball? That's the bigger question. And I think the Padres have a couple players beyond 5, 6, and 8. Manny Machado's right there on that list too. But my point is, does this benefit baseball over the long term to have all of the superstars, all the top superstars, confined to just 2 markets? I mean, there's not even a Cub here. There's not even a Boston Red Sox player here. You'd love to see a San Francisco Giant in a list like this. The players are limited to New York and Los Angeles, and that's it. And maybe, I mean, there's the most quantity of fans in those 2 markets, so maybe this is good for baseball. I'm just one to see it like, I understand this, but I don't necessarily love this. I like players getting paid. I'm a performer too. And if somebody offered me a big contract, of course, I'm going to go for it. I'm never going to go against the players and getting every single cent that they can. I'm just saying that how it's worked out here geographically, I don't know if that benefits the game of baseball and the sport of baseball, the business of baseball over the long term. Okay, the timing of this deal, I mentioned it before for the outfielder Soto, 29 years old. Nope, got that wrong. He's 26 years old. But the timing of this for Juan Soto, it makes it interesting because winter meetings are about to officially kick off tomorrow morning on Monday in Dallas, Texas. Like the whole baseball world comes together. Media, team representatives, managers, general managers, front office members, scouts. This is anybody who's everybody across Major League Baseball. And usually going into the first day of winter meetings, the big fish hasn't been caught yet. I mean, that's kind of been the tradition over recent years. You think about Aaron Judge, the infamous arson judge tweet from San Diego a couple years ago. And even last year with Shohei Ohtani, a lot of questions surrounding him during winter meetings. I was out there in Nashville. It was undecided yet that Ohtani was going to eventually land with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But it has kind of been the trend that the biggest name out there, which Juan Soto was for this offseason, that usually that player is not landed on a team by this point. But Juan Soto has, and so it kind of makes the winter meetings nullified. I mean, what else really is there going to be to talk about? There are some other dominoes to fall, and that is how I will conclude this video. Some other players to keep an eye on and to see now if the gates kind of open for their deals to happen. Now that we know what the Soto money looks like, what are other players going to get for their respective talents? But you know what? It is kind of nice to get this done, to get this out of the way. I actually think for baseball as a business, the fact that there's not anticipation, this is not a saga between, oh, well, he's flying to Toronto now this weekend, we're tracking his flight, or the Red Sox had a late night phone call. The rumor mill is, I guess, interesting for some fans, but I don't know that it actually brings anything tangible or beneficial to the game of baseball. So it's nice to get it done. It's good for Soto. It's good for the Mets that they've got all this squared away. I should have just waited to say his age earlier. I had it here already prepared and I forgot. It's late and I'm tired. 26 years old. He's got 7 big league seasons under his belt. He broke in, of course, with the Washington Nationals, played for the Padres, played for the Yankees last year. 936 games and 934 hits in that span. That's right. Juan Soto is essentially a hit-per-game player across 7 Major League Baseball seasons. That's pretty incredible to know that you're going to have one knock basically every single game. And you're going to go on a couple-game hitless streak, but you're also going to go 4 for 4 a couple games, maybe even in a row. 285 batting average, 201 career dingers, a 421 on-base percentage, 592 runs batted in across those 7 seasons. And obviously coming off a career season with the Yankees, they didn't win the World Series. They lost it to the Dodgers, but at least Soto got that far, got to showcase himself on a huge stage. You can understand that the 26-year-old's best years are ahead of him, but 26 plus 15, Juan Soto is going to be an elder statesman by the time this contract is done, whether it's with the Mets or somebody else, one way or another. And going back to kind of a big picture baseball theme here, what a wild pace for Major League Baseball as a business. Baseball is not exactly stable right now with its media rights and media revenue, as other leagues are. Baseball largely relies on its regional sports network partners, and this past offseason, 12 of the Bally's sports networks had to cut off their deals with respective teams. A lot of them came back to the teams and made a new arrangement that saw the team getting a significant less amount of money. Now, this is not the case for the Mets or the Yankees. It was actually the case for the Angels, but not so much the Dodgers. My point is here, baseball, you'd think, with this free agent market across this winter, with a little bit of financial uncertainty, and they don't have the bigger picture landscape squared away for the local, regional, and national television rights, kind of like basketball now has it laid out for a lot of years. Football just got all of their brand new deals done. Baseball doesn't have their revenues like they used to or like some other leagues do, but still, they're paying top dollar to the best players. Look at last year, look at the year before that, and now look at this year with Juan Soto and obviously a couple others, Blake Snell already included. Baseball is not slowing down the payments. So where does this go? If they're not going to make as much on new television money with streaming packages like a singular streaming product for Major League Baseball, how is the league, and more importantly, how are the teams going to find ways to pay these players and actually come through with the payments to these players if they're not making as much? Anyway, I'll take a step back from that to go to the dominoes here. Now that this is done with Soto and the Mets, a lot of attention on players like Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Alex Bregman, Teoscar Hernandez, Pete Alonso, and so many others. This has to be a relief in one way or another for all of these players who are not Juan Soto, but have free agent opportunities. And now that the Soto big deal domino has fallen, it does kind of open up the door as a courtesy to everybody else that now maybe their deals can take place. Maybe now there are some comparables out there so that they can get a nice chunk of change too. But Juan Soto to the Mets, again, we knew Soto was going to be with somebody for this upcoming baseball season. We had a an idea of the small handful of teams that would be suitors. Turns out it's the Mets, and the biggest deal in pro sports history. Let me know down below in the comments section, what do you think of this deal? Is it worth it for the Mets? Can he live up to this contract? Like, what do the Mets have to do to make this a valuable contract and worth the expense of the Metropolitans? You made it here to the end of this video. Thumbs up down below. I really appreciate that. Helps me, this video, and this channel. And also, don't forget, take one quick second, hit that subscribe button down below to make sure you're subscribing to this channel. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.